Gamers and gentlefolk, hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be your host this evening, The Sound, and we are bringing more Nexus Gaming Series action. A Week 7 bout in Division A between Start Slow, Then Taper Off and Magnitude Aftershock. Tonight's series is a best of 3 and sees two teams that were in Division B last season facing off here in Division A. Start Slow's last 3 series have all ended in 2 games, with 2 dominations against and 1 for them. And on the other side, Magnitude Aftershock have managed to take games off of almost every team they've faced. They haven't found as many series wins as I think they would probably like, but they are making sure that all of the series are hard-fought nonetheless. We can see where they are in the standings. And we've got Start Slow in a commanding position here in number 2. Minion Miners a little bit ahead of them, I would expect, due to a head-to-head. So Start Slow enjoying the view from the top, with Magnitude Aftershock still looking for a few more points to get them back in contention for the playoff spots. We can also take a look at our battleground selection to see where we're headed and where we're not for the series. We had Magnitude Aftershock win the coin toss and opt for battleground selection with bans on Battlefield of Eternity and Infernal Shrines for Start Slow, while Magnitude banned out Alterac Pass and Sky Temple. So we're headed to Brax's Holdout for game number 1 in the series. A battleground that doesn't see as much play in NGS, but one that certainly has a lot of nuance to it. We are unlikely to see the Storm League classic of 4 in bot, 1 on top, nobody ever leaves. Good luck. Instead, there is a lot more of an emphasis on rotational play, and with Magnitude picking the battleground, I would expect that Aftershock might have a pocket strat up their sleeves. So I'm excited to see how our two teams handle this somewhat less standard battleground selection. It is, as mentioned, one that requires a lot of nuanced understanding of gaining advantages across the battleground, where to exert pressure, and vision control, as always. I'd also like to take this time to thank everyone for tuning in. It's a pleasure to have you all joining us for this Division A bout. These are 2 teams with very strong players, some dating pretty far back with NGS. Wraithling in particular is a name that I've seen around countless times. And so it's great to see these 2 squads, both of which have been together for at least the past 3 seasons. It's great to see them sticking together and continuing to come back to the Nexus Gaming Series season after season. As mentioned earlier, both of these teams were in Division B last season, though on different coasts. Magnitude made it all the way to the semi-finals on the west side of Division B, with Start Slow, Then Taper Off coming in from the east side of that division. They did not fare quite as well in the postseason, but they've also punched up. They've been to Division A before. They are a team that has a history of many divisional promotions, I believe starting all the way down in Division D when the team first started up. Brax's Holdout, definitely a tricky battleground if you're unfamiliar with it. I'll be interested to see if these teams have been scrimming and are therefore prepared. And of course, it all starts with the draft. So we can get into that here to see what the priority is, if there is an emphasis on globals, if we see an early Genji pick. Start Slow didn't get the opportunity to choose first pick, but they may enjoy first pick nonetheless. Maev banned out first. A very powerful hero, Amy 820, known for the hero across NGS and Girl Skank Squad alike. Her ability to deal area damage with relative ease thanks to her Fan of Knives resetting if you hit 2 targets definitely makes her a potent force on the bot side of Brax's Holdout. We'll see how Start Slow want to narrow the pool further. We could see a ban on something like a Junkrat, or it's going to be Chromie instead. Chromie filling some of the same slot insofar as safe long-range poke damage and solid wave clear. Of course, the time traps bring some amount of vision control, but aren't quite as potent as Junkrat's Concussion Mine. And then we see the Urel ban, a target on 0-day attack from Start Slow. A talented Urel player. We'll see what the first pick is. How Start Slow want to kick things off here as they vie for Zerg supremacy on Brax's Holdout. It will be Junkrat as the first choice. As mentioned, this is a hero that is rather strong on the map. His ability to control the point and deal safe damage are really powerful, really potent. So zone control, kind of the name of the game when vying for the beacons. We'll see how Magnitude want to respond. They have the opportunity to counter-pick their offlaner if they so choose. Tychus and Diablo will be their first rotation. A solid pairing. The Tychus pick protects the Diablo from your enemy snatching it away. We've got a little bit of a lore-accurate showdown with the Angel of Hope going up against the Lord of Terror, Lu, on Oriole, with 0-day attack snatching up the Dahaka. The Dahaka pick says to me that Start Slow are going to focus a little bit more on winning bot lane. Dahaka does win some matchups, of course, but his ability to create an outnumbered engagement on the other lane is kind of his main power on Brax's Holdout, as we see Sylvanas banned away by Magnitude. Start Slow could look to ban an offlaner here if they're worried about something in particular. They've also got their healer picked up already, so we could see a ban on healer, perhaps a Deckard or Stukov, something with a fair bit of sustain healing throughput. It will be the Sonya ban, focusing more on the off lane. Sonya, one of the tougher matchups for Dahaka. Of course, there are plenty of others in the cast that Aftershock have available to them. They still need an offlaner, a flex damage, and a healer to round out their composition. Of course, it doesn't have to be a flex damage if we expect hyper carry Tychus. It could be a second healer. And we pick up Tassadar and Tyrande. Tyrande and Tassadar and Diablo, all of these heroes play very well together. The wall from Tass that Diablo can stun into, the follow-up CC from Tyrande in the form of Lunar Flare. Last two choices here for start slow. They need a tank and one more choice. They're going to go with Tyrael Cassia. Tyrael, not the most common pick, but allows for some favorable damage trades thanks to the movement speed he grants as well as the shielding. We'll see how Aftershock want to round out and finish off their draft here with their offlaner. I'm going to guess a Leoric is incoming, but that's just a hunch. It's going to be Thrall instead. Thrall brings a fair bit of percentage damage, can be challenging for Dahaka to shove the War Chief off point. Taking a look at our drafts, I think the area control that Start Slow have on bot lane is quite strong. Diablo's going to have a tough time stepping up in the early game before they've gotten their souls together. Dahaka could also complicate that a bit further. Thrall, on the other hand, beats up on Dahaka pretty handily, so it could be a bit of a stalemate on the objective front in the early game. We'll have to see if there are any sneaky rotations from a Tychus, Tassadar, or Cassia to throw the balance off one way or the other. And of course, it always comes down to execution, so let's get into the game and see how our two teams face off. We can introduce them here. First, on the left, in blue, we've got Start Slow, then Taper Off. Zero-Day Attack on Dahaka, Xenochrist on Cassia, Shadow Droid playing Junkrat, Lu on Oriel, and Crispy on Tyrael. To the right in red, Magnitude Aftershock. We've got Punk on Tassadar, Amy 820 on Tychus, Captain Roberts on Thrall, Wraithling playing Diablo, and Diet Llama on the Tyrande. Taking a look at our level 1 talents, we've got a few different quests. We've got Static Charge, rather, from Punk on Tassadar. Charge Strikes is the auto attack talent, and this is Thunderstroke for Cassia. We're looking for Globes on the Tyrael. Crispy opting for Ardent Restoration. And of course, Tissue Regeneration on the top side for Zero-Day Attack. Both teams playing it pretty cautiously. A boop onto Amy 820 yields nothing in particular. Captain Roberts looks to be safe behind the wall here. Xenochrist has been found on the top side. And Diet Llama makes the rotation up to potentially support the Thrall. The rest of Aftershock busy themselves on the top side with this siege camp. On the bot side, Shadow Druid and Lu likely to make the same rotation as our points unlock here in the next 10 seconds or so. A drag here could prove very costly. Captain Roberts zoned in an awkward spot. Zero-Day Attack does not have any more essence, and so Captain Roberts is going to survive there. On the bot side, Shadow Droid and Lu were able to take down Wraithling, so it's 1-for-1 in the end. But the objective progress starts in favor of Start Slow. There's the dig in from Zero-Day. Captain Roberts dodges the drag. And it looks like Start Slow are happy to continue playing this 2-3 laning setup. Aftershock do have a more potent lane push here in bot, thanks to this Bruiser camp. Shadow Droid caught on the wrong side of the wall here. Wraithling gets the stun, but not quite enough damage to find the takedown there. Taking a look at our level 4 talents, Shadow Droid continuing to stack things up, opting for Taste for Explosions. We've got Repeated Offense for Lu. Checking in on the top side, Captain Roberts doing fairly well into the duo lane pressure. Amy 820 also opting for a quest at level 4, going for Master Assassin. Crispy's managed to do quite well for themselves with the globes. Amy 820 not booped in. Oh, there's a lot of damage onto Crispy. I don't know if they're going to make it out alive. It looks like the Hunter's Mark just a little too late. Zero Day Attack and Xenochrist already through one of the two towers. Magnitude Aftershock have not fared quite as well here on bot lane. Crispy potentially in a lot of trouble here, but Amy gets booped away. Shadow Droid peeling for the Tyrael as both teams look for their level 7s. A little bit more minion experience in favor of Start Slow, likely thanks to the top lane. It's got to be challenging for Captain Roberts to step up and collect this experience as Xenochrist and Zero Day continue to push forward. Lu flipped onto an awkward side of the force wall. Will we see the drag come or the Rushstalker come in with Magnitude Aftershock pushed so far forward onto the point? It looks like Start Slow are happy just with the trade they made. They'll get a little bit more objective progress, already up to past 80%. And there you go. First objective goes to Start Slow thanks to their 2-3 laning arrangement. Captain Roberts unable to rest top from Zero Day and Xeno. Zero Day taking a lot of damage there from Punk on the Tassadar. But nonetheless, I think top fort is a foregone conclusion. Still a fair bit of health on the Guardians, but the Ultralisks have all but been defeated. Crispy pretty low here. A great stun from Wraithling, and that's another takedown. 2 takedowns now for Magnitude Aftershock. Zero Day a little deep in there. Ends up getting taken out. So it's 3 for 1 in takedowns, favoring Magnitude Aftershock. It allows for them to even up the experience a bit. I'll be interested to see if they use this power play to invade. It looks like they are instead content to work on their siege camp once again. We've got passive catapult pressure in top lane for Magnitude to deal with. Start Slow are likely going to focus a little bit more of their efforts on bot lane now that top fort has fallen. Both teams doing a great job keeping it even on the experience front. We can see more hero XP for Aftershock, of course, but minions and structures and passive. I guess structures are equal, but passive XP favors Start Slow. Here comes the rotation. Lu under threat. Oh, a little bit of an anti-synergy there. Lu gets the heal off. Xenochrist isn't able to find the counter kill, and Lu will fall. Zero Day Attack lands the drag onto Wraithling. They don't have the Shadow Charge to escape once again, but Xenochrist gets stunned. Losing the Avoidance makes Cassia a sitting duck of sorts. Amy 820 booped in. On the top side, Punk gets taken down. We'll see if Crispy's able to make it out alive here. I don't think so. Wraithling binds the Shadow Charge into the wall. And so it is now 6-2 as the heroics are unlocked. And we see many of them flying here. Starfall for Diet Llama. Amy 820 pops the Commandeer Odin. We've also got Sundering, Apocalypse, and Black Hole. On the other side, for Start Slow, we've got 0-day attack. I'm sorry. I got excited that someone was pushing a keep. Did not catch Xenochrist get taken down. It's judgment for Crispy, importantly. Magnitude Aftershock almost getting through the bot fort there. We've got Valkyrie, Isolation, Riptire, Crystal Aegis, and Judgment. Checking in on top side, 0-day attack still has the Brush Stalker available. They're going to be able to trade relatively well with Captain Roberts here, thanks to their level 7. If we're not careful, Captain Roberts... Okay, 0-day attack is looking for the takedown. Thrall gets chased off. We see the APOC looking for Xenochrist. They're unable to secure it. The whole time, the objective was channeling 4-start slow, and Diet Llama caught by the judgment of Crispy. So that's second objective phase in favor of the home team once again. Magnitude have kept it even on experience thus far, but they are losing ground on the battlefield. With bottom fort taken out here, it's going to be very challenging for Aftershock to get vision and find safe rotations towards the mercenaries, further increasing start slow's influence over the battleground. And with Dahaka soaking up in top lane, level 13 is just around the corner for start slow. A talent tier advantage once again. Xenochrist opting for War Matron, looking for that protected status on Fend. We've also got Piercing Lash. Bit of a gank bush here. Stuns galore, and it looks like Amy 820 will survive, but Wraithling and Diet Llama are not as lucky. Bit of a face check moment there, and that power play will give Start Slow the opportunity to work on the boss. Diablo's back in the battleground thanks to the Black Soulstone quest being complete, but it means that they are much, much easier to take down with only 25 souls at their disposal. Sword of Justice for Tyrael rather than Holy Ground. Sword of Justice, you can also think of it as Sword Hole if you're familiar with Wormhole for Zeratul. Able to teleport back. What a great drag from 0-day. And they find Diet Llama with the Valkyrie brought deep into the team, and Start Slow find 2 more takedowns, equalizing the count 7-7. Magnitude Aftershock have had a tough time here in the later game. Black Hole thrown out, but the boss is still very healthy. 0-day attack taking a fair bit of damage here, but I don't think it's going to be enough to dissuade them from taking the first keep of the game as they secure a 1.5 level lead. Magnitude Aftershock are on even talent tiers. They could take this opportunity to group up as 5 and try and take a guess as to which mercenary camp Start Slow might find themselves at. Wraithling goes for the APOC combo on the Dahaka. Crystal Aegis will protect the Apex Predator for the time being. Wraithling taking a whole lot of damage, but they sidestep the Valkyrie. Diet Llama the target once again. Crispy in deep. Diablo taken down. Tyrande doesn't look like they're long for this world either, but Captain Roberts hits a huge root. Crispy has a little bit more movement speed, and that will secure the takedowns. Level 16s in their favor. Start Slow are thinking about joining their catapults in bot lane and taking out this keep. Amy 820, the target for Crispy. They're able to get a lot of slow thanks to Bound by Law, making it very hard for the rest of Magnitude Aftershock to avoid the auto attack Tyrael. And there's the full Zerg wave coming towards Magnitude. It's coming through top lane. So Start Slow in bot won't have minions for a time. Amy 820 already using the Odin. It's going to make it a little bit harder for them to defend the Zerg once it arrives. Bot fort falls, of course, but the real question is, will Start Slow be able to finish off the game here? They're up a talent tier. 0-day attack taking a fair bit of damage. Wraithling already spending the soul shield. Core's taking damage. They find Amy 820 as well. Core down below half, and that looks like that's going to do it for game one. Start Slow, then taper off. Win on Magnitude's map pick. GG and well played to the home team. It always must feel good to take the first game of the series, especially on your opponent's map pick, when that was their coin flip choice. Magnitude left with a little bit of a question to answer as how they might deal with a alternate lane arrangement in the rest of the series. Let's take a look at our post-game stats. We've got Shadow Droid, top of their team, Punk, top of the lobby, as far as hero damage is concerned. 0-day attack, enjoying a pretty sizable experience lead over Captain Roberts. Some of that has to do with the takedown count, of course, but the rest of that would probably be attributable to the duo lane in the early game. We can take a look at our builds as well, see if there's anything terribly out of the ordinary. Pretty standard talents across the board. A little surprised to have seen War Matron at 13, but it looks like Xenochrist got decent value out of the protected status. So there you have it. Game 1 in the books. Start Slow up 1-0 in our Week 7 series. And with Magnitude Aftershock choosing Battleground selection when they won the coin flip, I would expect for them to opt for it again here now that they've lost. Battlefield of Eternity is not in the pool. That was banned away by Start Slow in the early phase. So they won't be able to go to another 2-lane Battleground. With bans on Alterac and Sky Temple, I'd be surprised if they took us to Cursed Hollow. So perhaps we've got Towers of Doom or Tomb of the Spider Queen in the cards coming up here. Tomb still requires, as does Towers for that matter, both require a fair bit of macro prowess, but they also have many opportunities for team fighting, which Magnitude Aftershock seem to be quite adept at. It also seems to be their preference based on map bans. So that's my prediction. I think we're going to go to Tomb of the Spider Queen. I hope so. I enjoy that Battleground. We'll see how our teams want to sort that out shortly. If you joined us midway through Game 1, welcome. We're happy to have you. This is a Week 7 bout between Start Slow and Taper Off and Magnitude Aftershock here in Division A. We got to see a rare Braxis game, which is always very exciting. As mentioned, it's not the standard 4-1 setup that won the day. The 2-3 lane arrangement from Start Slow set them up for an early experience advantage as well as additional push, and they were able to eventually trade up on HP in bot lane. And it looks like we have our next battleground selection. We're going to be headed to Dragonshire for Game 2. Magnitude Aftershock changing things up from the battleground choice, opting instead for first pick. This is a very rotational heavy battleground, one that taxes even the strongest of teams. You have to be winning all 3 lanes simultaneously to secure the objective. And so finding opportunities for an opportune pick, a uneven bit of mercenary pressure, etc., can be the big difference maker. I'm interested to see how Magnitude adjust their draft to meet the challenges of Dragonshire. Hoku cheering on their division, as every good div mod might. Let's get into the draft for game number 2 and see if Magnitude Aftershock will repeat their performance and take at least one game off of start slow. Magnitude Aftershock have lots of experience punching up the ladder. They've taken maps off every opponent save one, I believe, including the current number 1 seed, Minion Miners. We see the Orphea ban once again, along with the Maiev. Classic targeted bans. And there's the Urel. And Sonya, okay. Keeping many of the bans the same from game 1. And Junkrat, once again the first pick. Heavy Junkrat priority. Of course, the area control that Junkrat provides just as potent and valuable on Dragonshire as it was on Braxis. Shadow Droid looking very strong on the Trash Mouse. We've got more of the Angiris Council for start slow. They won't be able to pair it with the Junkrat, but it seems like those are solid pieces of their comfort draft. Johanna, okay, bringing a fair bit of wave clear with both Junkrat and Johanna. And Lucio to speed up the rotations a bit. I like that Magnitude Aftershock have kept both, or have kept their flex damage pick out of the first half of the draft. I'd expect another offlane ban from start slow here. We saw Captain Roberts on the Thrall in game 1, but Thrall's wave clear is pretty bad, so that might make it tough to pick on Dragonshire. Opting instead for the Chromie ban. Very interesting. There's the Sylve ban once again. Different order, but the same bans on both sides. They've done their scouting homework. Maiev, Sonya, and Chromie, all favorite picks of Magnitude. Cassia Mephisto. Okay. Mephisto, not a pick I would have suspected for this battleground. His macro prowess, not the best of the cast, as Punk and Captain Roberts round things out. We've got Li Ming and Leoric. So a little bit of a cooldown heavy team for Magnitude Aftershock in the form of Li Ming Junkrat. Not as much sustained throughput damage, point and click style damage. We'll see how Zero Day wants to round things out, opting for Hogger, who has been known to hunt them down. Alright, let's take a look at these drafts. And muse about them a bit as our teams go through the swap phase and load in. Oriel, a manaless healer, is always a boon on battlegrounds that can be a bit brawly. Mephisto, a bit of a surprise for me, doesn't bring the wave clear that I would expect from the flex pick. Cassia also just so-so on wave clear. On the other side, Magnitude Aftershock have it in spades. Junkrat, Johanna, Leoric, even Li Ming can contribute a fair bit. So we'll see if Magnitude Aftershock are able to press the advantage with the tempo of their macro, or if start slow then taper off, are going to close this one out in another 2-0. We can introduce them once again. We've got Zero Day attack on Hogger, Crispy on Tyrael, Xenochrist playing Cassia, Shadow Droid on Mephisto, and Lu on Oriel. Trying to take us to a game 3, we've got Magnitude Aftershock, Punk on Li Ming, Wraithling playing Johanna, Amy 820 on Junkrat, Diet Llama on Lucio, and Captain Roberts on the Leoric. And we've got a quick pause. Excellent, excellent. We'll just hop right out and see what's going on in the... Okay. Perhaps a small technical difficulty, but looks like we're going to get right back into it. And as we get back into it, we can take a look at our level 1 talents as well. Ardent Restoration for Crispy once again, Thunderstroke for the Cassia as well. Shadow Droid taking a fair bit of damage there. And despite my being so excited about Aftershock's wave clear advantage, it's start slow that end up getting the first wave taken care of before the red team. We've also got extra round timers for Junkrat, further increasing the macro prowess of our favorite Overwatch menace. Captain Roberts and Wraithling putting a little bit of pressure onto Zero Day attack, while the rest of Start Slow work on the siege camp. Magnitude Aftershock once again focusing more on the top side of the battleground for their mercenary pushes, as they did in Game 1. Xenochrist headed back to the base, likely to help defend against the Bruiser push in top lane. And it's going to be a pretty easy clear on these Siege Giants for Magnitude Aftershock. Captain Roberts is going to get channel on the top objective, and that's the first double altar channel in favor of Magnitude. Crispy taking a little bit of punishment from Punk and Wraithling here. But Tyrael is hard to lock down. Man, that is a lot of damage onto the Tyrael. Punk might just get the channel here, and they will. Level 4s on both sides as well. Of course, a 2-minute Dragon Knight, not the most powerful of objectives, will likely see this mostly used to collect minion waves and put a little bit of damage, opportune damage, on mid-fort wall. Checking in on top side, Captain Roberts taking a fair bit of damage from zero-day attack. We might get the takedown here, and that's first blood in favor of Start Slow. Leoric eating a little bit too much punishment from the minions. Up to 14 stacks on Thunderstroke for Cassia. Magnitude Aftershock getting as much value out of the Flame Breath of the Dragon Knight as they can. Sieging through about half of the mid-fort wall. On the bot side, Start Slow have already lost that fort front wall. A great boop in from Diet Llama, but Amy unable to connect with the concussion mine as well. Checking in mid, Amy picking up mid lane while Captain Roberts pushes out top. We'll see if either of our teams opts to play for the neutral bruiser camp. Captain Roberts, there's not a lot of CC to lock down the Leoric, and they have the Unstoppable. So Captain Roberts will make it to safety. Another wave pushed in bot lane means that that fort is going to start taking a little bit of punishment. Oh, we hear the Seeker proc onto Shadow Droid. Level 7s on both sides. Lu booped in! Oh, Lu is likely to fall here, and that'll do it. That's a reset for Punk. But they're unable to find any other low HP targets on the blue team. Checking in on top side, Captain Roberts has lost their wall. Not too surprising. Zero Day able to get a lot of push done with that bruiser camp after the solo takedown. A root lands onto Crispy. It's going to make it very easy for Punk to get those Seeker procs. One of my favorite sound effects in the game. Hands down. As our next Alter Phase spawns here in the next 10 seconds. We're neck and neck on experience. A little bit more hero XP for Aftershock, and a little bit more mercenary XP for Start Slow. And it looks like we've got the double altar channel in mid. No one for Magnitude in range to get the interrupt. Amy looks for the boop over the wall, but cannot get there in time. So Start Slow pick up their first objective as well. Still relatively low on scaling, given the early time on the clock. But we've got heroics on both sides now. Disintegrate, Blessed Shield, Rip Tire. Ah, not High Five, but Sound Barrier for Lucio, and Entomb for Captain Roberts. On the other side, we've got Hortapult, Judgment, another Valkyrie, Durance of Hate, and Crystal Aegis. We saw the Valkyrie used there. Xenochrist comes up empty, and after both sides win one objective, Magnitude Aftershock a little bit ahead, structurally speaking. Wraithling wants the globe. They're not going to be able to get a hold of it. Oh, Shadow Droid does not connect with the Durance. So that is two big CC heroics for Start Slow off the table. Mid-fort wall for Start Slow down. Top fort wall taking damage. Mid-fort itself down to about 2/3 HP. We get a quick scout on to the bottom bruisers. Magnitude Aftershock nowhere to be found, and so Start Slow get busy on the camp. They're worried about the top side. Captain Roberts has found Hogger. Zero-day attack will get the camp. They don't have the Unstoppable, but they do have the Heroic. There's Blessed Shield as well as the Entomb, and they find another takedown. Crispy looking for Captain Roberts here. They're able to get a lot of damage. Oh, Shadow Droid narrowly missing with the Durance once again. It's 4v4 in top lane with Amy cleaning up the Bruiser camp in bot. So Magnitude Aftershock in the lead towards the next talent tier. They've got a very healthy spell armor aura. Mage still above half HP. And so they're going to be able to push through the top port wall with ease. Xenochrist fends in, but without... Oh, what a great entomb! Catches two. Xenochrist falling... is not falling low at all. It's Captain Roberts instead who's going to be the victim. Call an ambulance, but not for me. Oh, the Valkyrie into the Judgment, and it's 2 takedowns. Punk the target there. Shadow Droid fishing once again with the Durance, but it does not find its mark. And that evens up the talent tier. We likely saw that takedown onto Punk thanks to their level 13 choice, Glass Cannon. We've also got a Drain Hope build coming online for Leoric, opting for Unyielding Despair at 13, getting a lot of cooldown reduction as long as your Drain Hope is connected. Sword of Justice once again for Crispy. Shard of Hate for Shadow Droid rather than Hysteria. Given how they had been fishing with their Durances, I was at least a little expecting them to go for the heroic cooldown reduction. Zero-day attack over the top here with the Hortapult. They get the slow onto Wraithling, but none of Start Slow is able to follow that up. They'll take this siege camp on the way out. Captain Roberts is showing in top lane, so it is a relatively easy grab for the blue team, while Aftershock put a little bit more pressure here onto top fort. So first structure has fallen. Start Slow have periodic catapult pressure and healing well advantage. Oh, Xenochrist once again caught, but they've got the War Matron. A heal comes through. Lu back up to full energy, and we've got the first Durance of the Hate. Xenochrist falling very low, sub 100 HP. Shadow Droid in a lot of trouble as well. Zero-day attack finds the stun. Diet Llama the target now. Crispy trying to chase him down. They've got the Judgment, and one more smite will do it. Captain Roberts getting a fair bit of damage there, but it's gonna be the Leoric to fall. These engagements start off looking really strong for Magnitude Aftershock, but some excellent support play from Lu, as well as a lot of counter-engage tools in the form of Valkyrie and Judgment means that Start Slow have been getting the better in a lot of these fights, managing to pick up their second structure here in just under the 11-minute mark. Next objective spawns really soon. Captain Roberts taking a fair bit of damage here. They're going to tap for some more lane sustain, but Start Slow is going to be able to peel back the final layer of outer defense, taking out top fort, getting ready for this next objective phase. Zero-day attack, soloing the Bruiser camp. A little bit of Hogger privilege for you. Zero-day 2v1. And here's the collapse from the rest of Start Slow. Captain Roberts, bound by law, and Crispy finds the slow required. Shadow Droid once again in range for the objective, and Magnitude Aftershock are going to have to face another Dragon Knight. Punk deals a lot of damage to the objective with their 7, 13, and 16 combo. Seeker, Mirror Ball, and Glass Cannon means the single target damage for anything lacking mobility, such as a Dragon Knight, makes for a potent target. Zero-day attack booped in. Xenochrist as well, but it looks like Magnitude Aftershock are unable to keep them locked down for long enough. There is the sound barrier. Dragonite kicks away Captain Roberts one more time. Botkeep wall has fallen, and it looks like Magnitude won't have any additional chase. They're really dependent on both Entomb and Blessed Shield. And once those are on cooldown, it can be challenging for them to find fights. Of course, they are incentivized to do so now. They've got an even talent tier. They could try and push top lane a bit, get a little more damage on that fort. See, it looks like they're willing to wait and see how Start Slow respond to the lane pressure. Start Slow really far ahead towards their Storm talents. That's thanks largely to their massive lead in hero experience, but they've also got a fair bit more minion experience and mercenary experience on their side. They're leading in almost every category. We've got Blessed Shield back off cooldown, but that's the Storm talent tier for Start Slow. We've got No Control, we've got more Judgments, we've got Valkyrie upgrade, Mimic, and Shield of Hope. Punk falling very low. Looks like they're going to be able to chase him down. Diet Llama falls as well. Captain Roberts, and on the top side, Amy 820. It's a full 5-hero wipe. Start Slow definitely going to be able to secure bot keep, if not go all the way to the core. We've got respawns coming in the next 30 seconds, and that is a pretty long time to wait. Magnitude might have fought their last fight here on Dragonshire. Still 15 seconds before Punk is back on the battleground. Shadow Droid, actually a potent siege threat thanks to Mimic now, and so that's going to do it for game number 2. Start Slow, then taper off, able to secure the 2-0 victory. GG and well played to the home team. A strong showing from our second place squad. They looked very comfortable on both battlegrounds in spite of how uncommon it is to see Braxis holdout in the map pool. And I tend to believe, rightly or otherwise, that teams that pick Braxis like Braxis, and teams that don't. But Start Slow looked very comfortable nonetheless. We can check in on our stats. Punk, far and away, top of the lobby with 61,000 hero damage. But unfortunately, the takedowns are what tell the story a little bit better. Li Ming compositions want to get those resets started, and unfortunately, they were unable to get the all-important lockdown for those resets and takedowns. Checking in on our builds, we called it out. Punk opting for a very challenging to pilot but high octane damage dealing build with the Seeker, Mirror Ball, Glass Cannon combination. Wraithling opting for your pretty standard Johanna talents. We saw Amy opting for the Chattering Teeth build. Nothing too surprising on any side. Crispy looking really strong on the auto attack Tyrael there in our 2-game series. So I'm going to try and wrangle an interview with our friends on the side of Start Slow then Taper Off. And I'm going to stall a bit while I do that. In the end, I think Magnitude Aftershock still show a fair bit of prowess and promise as we look a little bit further into the latter half of the season. There were moments of brilliance, absolutely, but I gotta say the support play from Lou in particular seemed to make all the difference there. Just hop in a voice lobby and see if I am joined by my fine friends from Start Slow. Also give him a quick ping. Hi, Lou. Let me swap over the interview scene, and you can give your intro once again, since they can hear you now.
Right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Lou, the assistant captain of Start Slow, then Taper Off.
Congrats on the win. Looked really clean.
Yeah, thank you. Yep.
Now, by position in the standings, this was an expected outcome, but I'm curious, were y'all worried about Magnitude Aftershock at all? How much scouting went into this match beforehand?
Well, we have a professional scout on our team. He's a relatively new member. His name's Crispy, and he's been doing all of the scouting. So I think he identified some key bans we needed to make and some choices we needed to make during the draft to, put us in a better position. So I don't think we were extremely worried. I think we did our normal amount of scouting and decision making. But that's probably the extent of that.
Awesome. Yeah, and we saw that in the bans, the Maiev and Chromie target bans as well as the Sonya ban. Not necessarily the most generic. So doing your homework pays off, as it turns out.
Yep. And we rely on Crispy for that solely.
Well done, Crispy. Talk to me about Game 1. Brax's Holdout, not the most common battleground that we see in the Nexus Gaming series. Was that something that your scouting report had shown, that Magnitude enjoys this battleground? I noticed that you guys immediately had that 2-3 laning arrangement. Is that is that something that stuck out to you in your preparation?
I think we just chose the map because we do have that strategy. We don't always employ that, but a lot of teams will be caught off guard, and that may have been the case tonight. I don't think they really made any huge adjustments, so I think we played a little bit of set play there. And I don't know, we were able to take those objectives in a way that made sense to us. We were communicating a lot about whether they were going to make any movements around the map. I would say the scouting. I'm not sure about the scouting. Like I said, Crispy's really the head honcho there.
Totally.
But to me, with the gameplay, things went to plan, I guess I can say.
Absolutely. The combination of the Oriole and Tyrael definitely seemed potent in both games. The auto attack Tyrael doesn't rely so much on the healing, but also can do a fair bit of damage. Gives you and the Oriole plenty of hat targets as well. And the shielding, of course, means that finding opportunities to trade up on HP and win that war of attrition, even down a player, ended up being pretty strong for y'all. And then Game 2, Dragonshire, your own map pick, looked clean, looked practiced. Was the emphasis on top lane mercenaries from Magnitude Aftershock something that you were concerned about, or was the thought, we've got Hogger doesn't need help?
Yeah, I think we were a little surprised on the timing on the first camp. We were discussing where could they be, when are we going to do our Bruiser, and then we saw that flash on the map that they had already done theirs. And we were a little taken off guard, I guess, but they kind of gave up some map presence, which allowed us to kind of shove a couple lanes and things like that. So I'd say we reacted to it, and I think they got the Bruiser again very quickly once it was up. But I think at one point they were doing a massive push top, I think with the second Bruiser cap, but we were able to recognize that and just respond to it, because when you put so much emphasis on getting that Bruiser and then making that push, we can respond to that instead of making it a real split situation, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I was a bit surprised based on the drafts. I guess we'll just chalk it up to efficiency. Y'all seemed to be ahead on waves most of the time, in spite of being up against Johanna, Junkrat, Leoric. I don't think of Cassia and Mephisto and Tyrael as wave clear powerhouses, but you guys were diligent on your rotations. Do you think that tempo advantage is kind of what helped you find all of those opportunities for advantage fights?
Yeah, so our first match, we recognized sort of a small weakness with our team. We had a Dahaka on our team that match that was really missing a lot of his tongues. So I think the second game we put a lot of emphasis on making sure we caught up with the soak, because it's not just a 2-lane map, it's going to be a 3-lane map. So we have to make sure we get that soak. And our, off-laner might be having an off night. So I think we did a lot of rotations mid on the second game. And Crispy was jock calling a lot, making sure we were getting ahead on XP. Towards the end of the game, he made sure we were waiting until 20 because we were sort of out of advantages to play from our hand, So I think he really had that in his head, and we executed that.
Yeah, and I'll give Crispy a special shout out. I thought the auto attack Tyrael looked really great, both games 1 and 2. A potent kill threat from the tank slot can never be shrugged off. Bound by Law at 16, definitely kind of making up for a lot of people's perception about Tyrael lacking that engagement potential.
Yeah.
And of course, judgment.
I think he really likes to play Tyrael, which can help you play well, if you have your own game plan in your head. And Tyrael can be very independent, even though he's the tank. He can sort of also fill that sort of bruisery dive role. And he can just, mess around in the back line, and we can be relatively safe, poking on the edges.
Yeah, especially into a Glass Cannon Li Meng. Judgment Tyrael eats very well.
Yeah, that, what do I call that? Conditionless engage is very nice in a lot of situations.
Yes, absolutely. All right, those are all the questions I have for you. Before I let you go get back and celebrate with the team, the floor is yours for any shout-outs you want to give.
Yeah, I don't think I have any special shout-outs tonight. Shout-outs to you for casting. Shout out to the other team. They were fun matches to play for sure. And, I said this last time on a different caster interview, but shout out to our subs. They've been subbing for us quite a bit, not so much in the last week or two, but we've had to call on them a lot. And potentially we had to do it tonight because one of our players, Zeno, was really unsure if he was going to make it. So luckily we got him in there, but yeah, props to them for being available for us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us for the interview, and congrats once again on your victory tonight, Lou.
Yep, thank you. Have a good day.
Take care. All right, so there you have it, friends. Lou, the assistant captain for Start Slow, feeling very comfortable with all of the scouting they were able to do, as well as finding those set play moments. They did a great job taking on a strong opponent. Magnitude Aftershock are no slouches. Before I sign off, I'll give some shout-outs of my own. First and foremost, to all you for tuning in. I appreciate your joining us here and supporting these teams. It's the community of the Nexus Gaming Series that makes all the difference and makes it so fun to participate in. I'll also give a shout out to the volunteer staff of the Nexus Gaming Series, because if not for all of their time and effort, free of charge, we would have no league to participate in. So thank you to all of the NGS volunteers. And last but not least, a special shout out to all of the artists, programmers, and musicians whose work I feature here on the stream. It wouldn't look or sound anywhere near as good without their contributions. You can find links to all of their work below or coming up here in the credits. Please do go check it out. It is all Creative Commons or open source licensed material. So if there's anything you've seen or heard that you liked, it could be in your next project as well. Until next time, friends, good luck and have fun out there. Peace and love.